Well, look, our immigration policy, our trade policy, really, I think any policy that's emanated out of the Bush, Obama, Biden era is effectively a crime against humanity. And I use that term in its full force. If you look at what their perverted view of the social contract is, it's that, I don't know, we get, cheap stuff in exchange for being treated absolutely horrifically. Our tax dollars have to be used to fund wars abroad that none of us ever voted for, or Congress didn't even vote to authorize trade deals that are directly responsible for stripping you not just of your wages, but your decency and your dignity. I mean, the people who thought it was a good policy to have American workers train their foreign H-1B replacements, right? The infamous Disneyland story.
Yes.
Like, those people should be on trial for, I would argue, they're traitors and it's treasonous. But that right there, that story right there is, I think, such a flashpoint in American cultural history where we hit the point where corporations, and so many of these corporations being subsidized by the government, if not bailed out in 2008, you can choose if you want to call it a subsidy or a bailout, but that they then used our tax dollars, right, to essentially weaponize against us. And I guess you see the culmination of that, right, in the Biden regime. But it's just absolutely reprehensible. And I think what really gets my blood boiling, and I'm sure makes your audience tick, is that, these people are so willing to talk tough about the horrors of MAGA, the horrors of President Trump. Steve Bannon is an awful person. Evita and Natalie are, racist, sexist, America firsters. I don't know about you. I've never heard these people talk so tough against the Chinese Communist Party, right? You can tell who's writing their paychecks. I've also never heard these very same people, right, who are now, apparently we have to really feel bad about all the federal, bureaucrats, i.e. deep state embeds, getting fired from USAID or these, stupid globalist institutions where we see no benefit. I don't really think we need to be involved in astroturfing election results in Romania. Call me a protectionist for saying that, George Bush, okay. But I think the issue with all of this, right, when you're looking at it, who's funding this, is that these people had no compassion, sympathy, empathy, or anything like that. Start the clock, put it back to 2008, put it to the COVID lockdowns, put it to 4 years of inflation under Joe Biden. These people don't give one damn about America's working class, right? It's a term that only exists when their consultants remind them to say it.
Yeah.
And it's just insulting to the intelligence, I think. And frankly, it goes to, I think, the spending cut debate that we're having right now, right? They $10 trillion, $1 trillion, $1 trillion. Well, over 10 years, it's $150 billion. That's nothing. And you're actually increasing spending by what is it, 700 million? And I just think there's this idea that the American people are so dumb that we're cattle, that you can just say, oh, well, protectionism is bad. Well, really, why is it bad? Because last time I checked, the Chinese Communist Party abuses not just American businesses, but people at mass scale, IP theft, illegal trade subsidies, currency manipulation. The list goes on, right? And we're the crazy people for wanting to be, quote unquote, protectionist, right? Anyone who uses the term Trump's trade war, you should automatically turn that show off, because it is the dumbest, most reductive, and dare I say victim blaming take that I have ever heard. It was the Chinese Communist Party that started it, right, when they joined the WTO, even before, with all of the ways that they cheat the system. And I love it now that we have some business leaders coming out and saying, 400% tariffs. Yeah, China's really bad. They're really abusive. Where were you 10 years ago, right? Where were you when American workers who can't just go on CNN and complain about their business being overtaken, these small mom and pop shops, they were nowhere to be found. But now that President Trump has made it politically advantageous, right, to go against the Chinese Communist Party, there'll be dozens and scores of people lining up to hit the airwaves to say, yeah, China bad, China bad, China bad. But just remember, where were these people 10 years ago? They had the power to do something about it. It's nice that they all made their money off of this rigged system, and now they can speak out and criticize it because maybe that well's dried up. But it's pure politics, and you can tell this is the one thing that makes me tick. But just the moral superiority of these people who have nothing but contempt for the American working class. You know, save it, Bush family. Go take your money from China and propagandize on these tariffs. No one's going to believe you anyway.